Alright, let's say the quiet part out loud. If James Gunn and DC Studios want to take this upcoming Paradise Lost show seriously, perhaps they should pick up the phone and call one director who can make it the most epic and grand TV show to ever grace our screens. It's important to point out, though, that I don't want this director being the showrunner. I don't want this director to be the one writing all the mythology. And yes, I want them reined in a little bit. But from a directing standpoint, this person is easily the best choice for something like Paradise Lost. Because whether you love the projects he's done in the past, or hate them, or live somewhere in the middle, there's no denying that if this director steps into Themyscira, he's going to know exactly what to do. So who is it? Who is the man that I'm talking about? Well, if you haven't guessed it yet, it is Zack Snyder. That's right. I think Zack Snyder should be the man that James Gunn picks up the phone, calls, and says, hey, I want to make this Paradise Lost TV show, but I want somebody to really take it to the next level. Make it look cinematic. Make it look grand. And I'm sure some of you are sitting there saying, but Slav, we don't want Zack Snyder in the DCU. Well, I'm here to tell you that too bad. Too bad. Look, let's go back to the DCEU for a second. Let's take a look at the Themyscira scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League, for instance. It is one of the best moments in that movie. It's got everything you need. It's got epic, it's got scale, it's got intrigue. And that came from Zack Snyder. And in a world where the DCU needs to be slightly different than what we've had in the past, having a little familiarity when it comes to something like that, I think is okay. I also want you to take a look at what he was able to do with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a fantastic character that he had in Batman v Superman, as well as his Snyder Cut. Now, I get it, this show isn't about Wonder Woman. However, it's about the Amazonians, it's about the Themyscirans, it's about those characters being warriors. And who's better at handling warriors than Zack Snyder? Take a look at 300, for instance. Epic film, great movie. He's able to bring that mythic type of event to screen. He has a great visual scale. He's got tactical intensity when it comes to portraying these characters on screen. And I think the thing that I loved the most about what he did with Themyscira is how it truly felt ancient. It was an ancient civilization that felt lived in. Now, let's also not forget that he was heavily involved with Patty Jenkins in building that first Wonder Woman movie. I'm not going to take away from what Patty Jenkins did because she did a phenomenal job. But his fingerprints are all over that film. And a lot of it is on Themyscira. But let's get back to what I think the positives would be for this, okay? The ability to shoot action sequences. Zack Snyder thrives with action. He loves, but he's also really good at intrigue. Now, no, I don't want him writing the scripts for this. I don't want him showrunning this. However, he is able to enhance those scripts in what he shoots. Paradise Lost needs political tension. It needs mythological spectacle. It needs warrior culture that feels dangerous. And it also needs action that feels consequential. Now, here's a cool little twist, I think, also. Zack Snyder has never dabbled in television. This would give him the ability to work on a show that could be 6 to 8 episodes long, to really flesh out all of the characters, to flesh out the action sequences, to really have space to do what he does best. Now, I get it. He loves slow motion, and he loves to dive too deep into the intricacies of characters and such. But we've seen that in a 2 to 4 hour movie. Even then, it just feels like too much. Giving him 6 to 8 hour long episodes could allow him to really let that all breathe. It would force a narrative discipline for him. It would encourage character breathing room. And it would prevent a 2 hour long traffic jam that Snyder is typically good at doing. So, in other words, I would say let the man cook. But let's get down to it. He should not be the showrunner. Not at all. Zack Snyder should be the director of the entire series. And here's the thing, that's not an insult to him. It would actually be a strategic alignment. Snyder is at his best when he's telling his stories visually. However, Snyder unchecked can sometimes drift into overly dense thematic layering, heavy-handed symbolism, narrative sprawl, and yes, he gets a little too comfortable with that slow motion button. So you get Snyder in there with a strong writer's room and a firm showrunner, and I think this combination would be the best of both worlds. Alright, but here's the question. Is this the olive branch that would bring the Snyder fans back to reality? I don't think this would be it here, not at all. However, I do think this would go a long way in showcasing the ability for Snyder and Gunn to work together, their friends, so on and so forth. And I think this would be a really good way to showcase Gunn and Snyder's creative camaraderie. It would be more of a signal of professional respect, a way to calm the temperature of the fan base. No, I'm not saying this is the fix-all, but I think this would be a good move to help move in that direction. James Gunn has been very upfront about wanting to have a collaborative, creative vision, storytelling type of thing with the DCU, and I think this is the way to go. I do. If DC Studios really wants Paradise Lost to feel like the next Game of Thrones or even bigger than that, I think this is a huge step in that direction. And no, this isn't fan desperation. This would not be signaling any kind of restoration. This is just smart filmmaking strategy. And honestly, that's something DC could use just a little more of right now.